Good morning, people. Good morning, friends, beautiful people, all the fair ladies and gents, whoever is watching this ad hoc ranting show. So today I got a few comments to make. They're very obvious. One is I'm going to reiterate my the facts about U.S., NATO, EU, Chinese regime, Arab countries, not the people, rather the regimes. Iran, terrorist organizations, Hezbollah, ISIS, and these are all one alliance. Hezbollah, ISIS, General Sisi, and his brother Morsi. So if I want to put these two together, I would say Marsi and Sisi. And of course, Lebanese entity, Chechen entity, Erdogan, right? Erdogan, right? All that is one alliance. ISIS, Qaeda, Saudi, Gulf, all Gulf countries, leadership, not leadership, rather than the establishments in all these countries that I mentioned, Chinky, Chinese, and so on, are assisting Pustalenin tooth and nail. And I am reiterating a fact, folks. Don't ever doubt yourself about that. At the same time, they are trying to put out or spout out rhetoric about supporting Ukraine when they are really not supporting Ukraine. They are working with Pustalenin on destroying Ukraine, but they faltered so far. Folks, that's a fact. So one of the manifestations of assisting Pustalenin is this. Suddenly you go to the gas station and you're paying what, $6 now a gallon? $6 a gallon. And they give you all kind of innuendos and all kind of lies and deceit, and they take you on a spin zone that's like the disk of that spin zone is the size of a disk of a galaxy, like the Milky Way or Andromeda or whatever it is. That's and like hypersonic speed, light speed. They're spinning you in light speed with very little, right? At the same time, when you go to the gas station, you would see that you're paying $6 a gallon. Why are they doing this? There is plenty of oil, folks. I know there is plenty of oil. And I'm going to quote that old weasel-like foreign minister of Saudi, Adel Al-Jubeir, who's an Israeli. Right? Huh? You can take these words to the bank, folks. Said, and I quote, in the past, that Saudi will ship all the oil that United States need, but they don't have refining capacity. So folks, it's not a matter of supply and demand. It's not a matter of availability. It's not a matter of refining. It's not a matter of whatever it is. I have, in the early 80s, seen the gallon of gas as in Texas as low as 59 cents a gallon, right? So why are they doing this? And supposedly OPEC, which is really Saudi and so on, are refraining from pumping more oil and probably lowering the output, pumping less oil. Is really to help Pustalenin. So now, Pustalenin and the establishment in the West, establishments, that's plural, in the West, are making sure that Pustalenin sells a gallon of oil for $6, right? Or whatever it is, right? Here and there they have to have their own cut, right? Cut, the mafia cut, the background and scene behind the scene cut, like when they become president here in the United States, as appointed, they go for daily trillions. Like the Obamas, stick 'em up, motherfuckers. Like you sign trillions today for Netanyahu's stock market, or stick 'em up, right? And all those. Excuse the joke, but it's real, folks. So that's what it is. So now Russia is reaping all this money from oil and gas and so on. Is it circumstances? Is it politics? No, no, folks, it's not. If Saudi and other countries want, they can literally pump more oil and make sure Russia doesn't even sell oil, right? Because there's plenty of oil. They can pump out to cover more than Russia and Iran, period. So that's that, folks. That is that. So point number 2. There is this NATO thing. You know, they're trying to herd, you know, like herding sheep, right? You know, and beating them into a corral or something, the cows. They're trying to herd Finland and Sweden into NATO. Well, wait a minute, but Turkey is objecting, is in opposition to that inclusion of Finland and Sweden into NATO. And why? Because they're an ally of Putin. Folks, don't buy that shit. The reason they're saying this is really to say that while the people of Sweden and the people of Finland, you know, wanted to do so and so, it was Erdogan. No, folks. The majority of people in Sweden, the majority of people in Finland, and elsewhere will object and are in opposition to joining NATO and EU. Why? Because they're, you know, just like I did, you know, early on, I thought, you know, NATO was just NATO, you know, in defense of the countries of the West and so on and so forth. But no, I mean, we come to discover in the past 70, 80 days, well, much earlier than that, right? We come to discover from the first 2 weeks of invasion or aggression by Russia against Ukraine that NATO is working with Russia, that EU is working with Russia, that United States is working with Russia, that ECB is working with Russia, that China is working with Russia, that Arabs are working with Russia, and. So folks, don't be taken aback by what's going on. And Scandinavians, you know, I keep talking to you guys. I know you're much more intelligent than I am. I can give you that, you know, I can see that. My head's smaller than yours, so. I have like probably 1400 cc here. I heard Scandinavians, you know, those Vikings, you know, they got like probably 2000 cc's in here. So, hey, but I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Right now, especially Sweden, right? Scandinavians and Germanics. Well, Germanics are a different point, right? This idea of neutrality is long gone, folks. Do not kid yourself about the strategic shift of what's going, you know, of the tripod of Israel, that Pustalenin and his drive into the West. That was not haphazard. Oh, that was not limited operation, limited scope operation. Oh, no. This was, and I'm going to reiterate this point, this was a comprehensive operation to take over entire Europe. And not just that, they were going to make sure that in case the Soviet Union gets destroyed in another Afghanistan, right? Now, they made sure of that mistake not to happen in Syria, right? You know, like they go into Syria and they get destroyed again. Now, the Arab rulers, Israel, of course, under the umbrella of Israel, they probed up the whole operation. They're going to make sure that if there is a chance of Russia being destroyed again, or, you know, Soviet Union, that you Europeans want to flourish and become independent again and try to recover, you know, like breathe the sigh of relief and try to recover and build back your psychological heritage and freedom and so on and so on. You remember? Wait a minute. You're Nazis. And those Muslims, Sunni Muslims, they're ISIS. Okay. So that is the point for Scandinavia. Things have changed. There's no longer neutrality. You're involved and you're a target. Of course, right now, everything's on hold and back and reminds me of Wild E. Coyote Juniors. You know, he's back to the drawing board now. But you know what? You can't sleep on it, folks. Whether you're Scandinavians and you would kid yourself not to unite, right? If you don't want to unite, break down the governments and like become one country, those 5 Scandinavian countries, okay, like you don't want to do that, but at least now make sure your defense and your economics and are unified and protected. That you being divided, you will be an easy prey. United will be strong. That's an old proverb. I learned it from whenever I was little, reading those old Islamic books, those logic, those jurisprudence and wisdom of, you divided, you fall. Pink Floyd, united we stand, divided we fall. So Scandinavians, time of this relaxed, basking in the sun, freedom, money, fashion is gone, folks. The future is bleak. If you want to stay and remain and have any heritage or traces of your original countries and societies and psyches, and I disagree with a lot of it, right? But much better than that darkness that's crawling toward you from the east, right? You can't remain divided. You have to unite your defense. You have to have to draw a common strategy. You have to you have to do all kinds of things now. Things have changed, like I told you, and you've been threatened. Like I made these. I don't make baseless allegations or unfounded theories. These are facts on the ground, folks. I made these statements like a while back, and lo and behold, Pustalenin threatened you, Finland and Sweden. And if he threatens Finland and Sweden, it doesn't take a genius to realize that he's threatening the entire European continent. Because what will make him stop if he's able, if that Israeli guy, Pustalenin, is able to invade with impunity, of course, Finland and Sweden, what makes you think he's going to stop from and refrain from invading Norway or Iceland or Netherlands or Netherlands think they're like in a corner on the Atlantic. Oh man, folks, you can't be more wrong. Like every entity in Europe now, whether it's an ordinary citizen, whether it is a society, whether it's a club, whether it is a country, whether it's a government, everybody now is a target and everybody should be involved and rise up to the occasion, because if you do now, you will prevent bigger thing and incendiary future. If you don't, it'll come your way. Like privacy can work and will work fine, but and I told you, they're not coming that way at all. But if you abdicate and sit back and relax, or sit down on the sidewalk watching the parade of people, right? Like on your chairs on the sidewalk, those holiday parades, and watch Russians, drive by. Of course, they're gonna drive through. So no prophecy will work then. So people, there is no longer neutrality. There's no longer intentions of independence. They are trying to fold you under. They're trying to fold you under NATO and EU because they failed to fold you under Pustalenin, and the future is bleak. That doesn't mean they quit or have taken the plan B or anything else. No. If they fold you under NATO, this is buying time, because Israel cannot. It's in their agenda. It's on their agenda. It's in their strategy. This Europe thing, it's just not gonna exist anymore as it did. So there you have it, folks. And look at the Syrians and Iranians, and look at the Afghan and Chechnya and so on and so forth. Syria, let's take Syria and Iraq, right? And Iran. Ever since Israel taken over by way of Shiism, which which is the origin of the Western word schism, right? Shiism is an instrument of Israel, has always been ever since its inception 1400 years ago, almost 1400 years ago, right? Has been the instrument and the and the dog and the pig and the donkey and the instrument of Israel. Basically, it's an instrument of terror, folks. Has always been, right? And look at their situation now, whether Syria or Iraq or Iran or Chechnya or Afghanistan. Iran, for example, ever since this Ayatollah Khomeini came to the country, they live in perpetual poverty, right? I used to foam in the mouth because I made those videos during Ramadan. I was fasting. Now I can drink water. So the Iranians, Shiites, right, the instrument, right, who are coming into Iraq and Syria to propagate and shore up the Israeli rule of that region, of that area. And they kill them between now and then, right? But let's take their situation as Shiism. For Sunnis, which are not supposedly similar, akin or parallel to the Nazis in Europe, these are ISIS, right? They're to be killed and made refugees. But let's take the Shiites who remain under as the instrument of Israel. Perpetual poverty, kill and get killed. That's it, folks. Saddam Hussein and Ayatollah were brothers. They killed millions on that front. Why? Because of historic reasons that they want to make the Persians and Arabs hate each other. That's that simple, folks. Nothing more, nothing less. And sure enough, but now there's awakening movement. It has always been, because the Persians realized that this thing that it calls itself Islamic revolution, which has anything to do, but which is anything but which is total animosity toward Islam, and they live their life, folks, to destroy that religion. That's the Ayatollahs, that's their umbrella Israel, and so on. So think about it, folks. If Pustalenin, and think about the Russians as well. Okay, if you want to take the analogy to be Russia, because they're semi-white, right? Rus, Rosia, you know that Arabic word. See how a Russian individual lives, and then that's the plan for you, or whatever remains of you after they take over Europe and they do the mother of all blood purges and so on and so forth. I'm going to give you an example, and I keep making this example because it was a relevant example. It was made by a Dutch representative in the UN. When that I think, Malaysia airline was shut down over eastern Ukraine, I think it was Donbass, right? Over Donbass. And then you can see those Russian mercenaries, or whoever they are, right? Rummaging and scouring the wreckage, seeing if a woman has jewelry, a dead woman who died because of the crash. And they were stealing and looting the jewelry from the wreckage, and stripping the victims of their jewelry and wallets and things of the sort. And he was angry. You can hardly see Dutch people being angry. They're relaxed people. That's how painful it was. And to me, when I looked at it, it was very low, folks. It was very low point. Like a human being like that, doing what he's doing to a fellow human being who's dead. And so that's what you will become, Europeans. You will become under pressure, and it's been 100 years under communism, and you will eventually be demented and behave like those Russian mercenaries do. You won't be any different. Is that what you want to be? So people, I myself was tricked and deceived by this NATO thing and this EU thing and so on for a little while. But then eventually I found out what it is, and it is exposed now, what they've done and what they're doing and so on. And they're still, even now, they're still supporting Pustalenin, believe it or not, while you're not looking. But it turns out to be that their animal farm has so much lost quality and faith and wisdom and humanity that they're not even fighting. Nor will they be able to fix that. That's all I can say, folks. And remember, Pustalenin is being held by this octopus of finances in the world. Not just that. This octopus of finances, that is of Israel, of course, has been conducting apocalypse on the finances of the individual and the nations for decades now. And it's only beginning to show now. It's only beginning to show. And they blame it on all kind of things, supply chain, chip shortage, and no, folks. That's Israeli investors. New York, Tehran, Tel Aviv, Moscow, here and there, and oh man, Shanghai, and so on and so forth. Folks, they're stealing trillions and trillions. I'll give you an example. Even now, when things are very bad, right? The US government is still siphoning off and adding debt to the nation by appropriating hundreds of billions, and forwarding that to something called that's BUTT, Bitcoin of Israel, right? Why? Because it was born to stay, and the onus is on you, American, to support it. And eventually, if that's not going to happen, right, becomes the currency, they will make sure to fleece you from every penny that you have. Even now, they have the capacity and the audacity to kill the nation's future and destroy the nation and put that on it just to support that Bitcoin, which is the mother of all evil, folks. I can talk for a year on how bad and evil that thing is called cryptocurrency, and I would not fulfill and I would not complete the story about that cryptocurrency and how evil it is, folks. You have no idea. I really hope you wake up and ask your economist, your experts in the economy and finances, and ask them. They'll know, right? Have a nice day, my friends. And there's so much to say and very little time to say it. But for today, all I'm trying to do is really get you to realize that there is a major shifting and tectonic plates shifting and so on under your feet, and you, at least in Europe. No different than that of Syria and Iraq and Chechnya and Iran, and even probably worse. Oh, you Nazis, repeat after me. You're a white European, even if you're in America, you're a Nazi, fascist, white racist, white supremacist. Can't be farther from the truth, folks. You're a Syrian, you're Iraqi, you're a Muslim, Sunni Muslim, no matter where you are. You're ISIS. Nazi in Europe, or white, Sunni Muslim, you're ISIS. Nazi, ISIS, Nazi, ISIS. Do you realize that hoax that cost the world hundreds of millions of people? Oh, wait a minute. Where were the whites early in the last century when communism was born? The two Creed brothers, Lenin and Stalin. What were the Russians? Were they Nazis? No, there was Nazis. No, there was no Nazis back then. ISIS. Russians, those white Russians who were killed by the dozens of millions, by probably, the gulags, 60 millions in the gulag. Yeah, they were ISIS. Oh, there was no ISIS back then? Oh, you guys don't know. I'm laughing, but it's sad, of course. You can go to Siberia now and still find their effects in those camps. And they didn't do anything. They were just white. People born white, not that they've chosen to be so. And they were Russians, and they were not undesired elements deemed by those Israeli two brothers, Lenin and Stalin, and their cabal. Lizard eye cabal of Moscow. Have a nice day, my friends, and Good Friday.